everybody. My name is Russ. That is Lauren. Welcome to our Thursday. I almost said Wednesday for no reason whatsoever.
None.
Thursday music discussion video. And today I'm going to talk about 5 great rock covers of pop songs. And I assume that almost anybody who clicks on this video is instantly going to go like, oh, well, he's going to mention this one for sure. Because there's been a lot of really good rock covers of pop songs. I don't know that I'm going to hit the most famous ones. And that's, why God made the comment section. Drop, whatever ones we pick, make sure to drop some of yours down there below. But what's even funny is I'm going to start out with a artist that when I say the artist that the cover is of, most people are going to be like, oh, yes, this one. And they're going to be wrong. Michael Jackson, where most people would say what?
Alien Ant Farm, Smooth Criminal.
Right, which is not bad, but that's not where I'm going.
Oh.
The band 3 Days Grace does a great cover of a far lesser known Michael Jackson song called Give In To Me. And the reason that's on the list and Smooth Criminal is not is because Michael Jackson had a very harder edge to a lot of his albums. And a lot of those songs were outside of like Dirty Diana. A lot of those songs never got released as singles. And most people don't know that he did that harder edge music. Smooth Criminal is a very, very pop song that Alien Ant Farm turned into a rock song. Give In To Me is just plain a rock song with Michael Jackson singing. It's from the Dangerous record. It features most of Guns N' Roses.
I was going to say that's the one, right?
Yeah. Most of Guns N' Roses is on the original track. Matt Sorum, Duff McKagan, Slash. In my opinion, Slash's solo on the original is one of the best guitar solo Slash has ever laid down. And that's a hefty statement. Like, I understand that November Rain and Paradise City exist, so if you're hearing this now and you haven't heard the Michael Jackson original, go listen to it first of all, and then stay for Slash's outro solo because it's incredible. But the guys in 3 Days Grace, I love this pick for a cover. Like, first of all, it's very similar to the original. Like I said earlier, Alien Ant Farm kind of transformed Smooth Criminal. If you listen to Michael's version of this song and then you listen to 3 Days Grace, at first you'll be like, they're both very rock oriented, but they took it down in a key a little bit, probably because most people can't sing as high as Michael Jackson.
Sure. A
little more rasp in the vocal, and I think maybe what Michael Jackson was trying to get across with the edginess of the vocal, the singer of 3 Days Grace was able to like pull that out a little bit more because he's more of a traditional rock singer.
Okay.
So that's what I'm kicking off with. The next one is a cover by, and it's this is one of those weird things where depending on when you look at the song release, it's either by Wham or by George Michael.
George Michael of Wham.
Yeah, but it was.
I know. I know.
Yeah, illegally, it's been both a Wham song and a George Michael song. Careless Whisper. But the band Seether turned in such a killer cover of that song. Like, this is probably not going to be the last time on this list. Well, it's going to be the second to last time. Where if you had told me Seether's going to do a cover of Careless Whisper, I would have been like, no, thank you.
That's what I would have said.
Like, please make sure I never hear that. And it's not even that it wasn't that I was all against Seether when they came out or anything like that. It's just a song that I'm like, no, you know who I want to hear cover that? Nobody and George Michael. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all I want to hear. And, and again, Careless Whisper is the definition of a, and I mean this as a compliment, syrupy rock ballad. It's got a famous saxophone part in it, for crying out loud. And here comes Seether to be like, well, we're going to strip that away. We're going to have the sax part play on a really distorted guitar, and to take liberties that they did with it and deliver it in a way that, like, I don't know anyone who's heard Seether's version that says, oh, that's awful. I mean, I can think of a lot of rock and pop covers where people are like, I do not ever want to hear that again. And I don't know anybody that feels that way. Like,
no, I've heard this.
At worst, I feel people are just like, oh, okay. But like, I don't know anybody who's like, oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's like, it's not my jam, but I could totally appreciate like how it's respectful of the original, but also transformative in a way that's really unique.
See, that's what matters to me. You just hit on something exactly. Like, these guys are not doing this song to make fun of George Michael or make fun of the song. You can tell there's a lot of respect for this song in the way that they do it. The next one is one where this band is enormous. It's a Finnish metal band called Him. People adore this band. And the only thing that I had ever heard by them for the longest time was their cover of Wicked Game by Chris Isaak. And this is another one where the tone of the original is so different from a metal cover of it that when someone started to tell me about it, I was kind of like, I don't think I want to hear this, you know? And again, I would argue that you can hear the reverence for the original in it. Like there are some metal covers out there that are very much like, not even trying to make fun of the original, but being like, hey, wouldn't it sound funny if this was?
Yeah, I think it's just it's a level of respect, right? You know, and everything that you have on this list has a level of respect for its source material, and like it's kind of to your point where it's like people will often poo-poo on pop music because it's just pop.
Yeah.
Right. But everything here is respecting where it came
There's
from.
like little things that make me be like, these guys really love this song. Like, for example, of course the high part, Want to Fall in Love, and This World Is Only Gonna Break Your Heart. There's a really, really low harmony on the Chris Isaak version.
Yes.
And they made sure to get that in the hymn version. Like I know people who didn't notice the harmony on the Chris Isaak one until they heard the hymn version. And I was like, yeah, that's never. So someone said to me once, oh, well, they added that harmony. I'm like, they didn't add that harmony. They didn't add it,
it was there.
But the fact that it was so subtle on the original and they made sure that to me shows a reverence.
Of course. Yeah.
For it. The next one is a Van Halen cover, which is kind of funny. Van Halen doing a cover because one of the reasons why Eddie and Dave had a big rift that was brewing for years was because Eddie hated that they were doing so many covers.
Sure.
They launched their career with a cover of You Really Got Me. And a lot of people know Van Halen covers, but they don't know certain ones. And this is one. Like last week, you did a video on songs from 1975. On Van Halen 2, they covered You're No Good. And most people don't know they did that. I don't like the cover at all, but it's there. But growing up on Motown, I'm stunned that more people don't know that Van Halen covered Dancing in the Street. And again, completely different vibe from almost, even though it's on the record, Diver Down, which I want to say came out in late 82. It either came out late 82 or maybe even early 83, but separated from the disco movement for sure. And their cover's got like a disco flair to it.
Sure.
Like completely different from the original.
Yeah.
Eddie's doing wild stuff with guitar effects on it, which is like, I know Eddie's Guitar King and he's a shredder. And the solo, what's interesting is the solo is so Eddie Van Halen, but all the rest of the song is him being experimental with guitar. Like the whole rhythm of everything is set by, like I would assume if most people on first listen would just think it's like him doing stuff with a synth, and it's not. It's with guitar effects. But there's little things you always mention your rightful affection for Michael Anthony. And there's, like in the verses, they'll be swinging record, and you hear Anthony, ooh, and again, to me, that's Dave is singing it with the same swagger as the original. And to me, that's Michael back there being like, also, this was in the original, like you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And then of course, I don't fault Eddie at all for being so far off the reservation with his interpretation because he didn't want to do it in the first place.
Right.
But I also like that he didn't do something incredibly distasteful.
Right. I mean, he was allowed to color outside the lines a little bit.
Well, no, for sure. Yeah, at least. Well, that's my thing. At least if you're not going to want to do something, or you're being, I'm not saying he was forced to do it, or if you come to a compromise, you have to do that. It's nice that he still came up with a nice creative way to do something. Right. Now, the last one on this list is interesting because this song was featured in our video last Thursday, and we did not even talk to each other about who was doing what for what video. But last week, Lauren had a video on the channel. If you haven't, go back and see it, about 5 great singles from the year 1975. The last one in my video is one of those songs, but covered as a rock song. And it's the song Cats in the Cradle, originally by Harry Chapin. But Ugly Kid Joe did, in my opinion, a masterful cover of this song. Ugly Kid Joe, if you are going, where do I know them from? You probably know them from their biggest hit was a song called Everything About You. Which is, again, this is one of those things where people might be like, I think I know that song. And then when it starts, you'll go, oh, I totally know
I'm literally having that moment right now.
Yeah. As soon as it starts.
You see, I made that face. I'm like,
As soon as the song starts, you go, oh, I totally know that song. But I would argue their cover of Cats in the Cradle, I wish this was the far bigger hit for them. It was a hit.
I remember it.
And again, this is somebody who they didn't overhaul it. It's definitely a much harder version of it's not a folk song. But to me, I feel like it's more of a, it's a harder interpretation of the feeling in the lyrics.
Yeah,
'Cause
for sure.
Cats in the Cradle is not a happy song. And I don't think you could just go and do it one for one and have a hit with it at that time. I think you had to express the sadness and the anger in the lyrics. And I believe that they did.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard, this is probably the one that's the chances of people have heard it the least on the list. By all means, go check it out because I think it's a fantastic cover. It's one of those things I think when I first played it for you, you were like, oh, I remember this. And then as it went on, you were like, this is good. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny because, like I said, I remembered it. And then we've had this conversation. Like, my dad's the one that got me into Harry Chapin in the first place. I remember being in the car with my dad when the Ugly Kid Joe one happened to like come on the radio. And did you ever like see somebody have that, wait, I know this, but this is different than what I know kind of moment? And my dad heard this and he's listening. And I remember him looking at me and going, well, this is certainly darker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
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 And to me, it's a stronger interpretation of what the lyrics are like.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like, I mean, in a way, right? Like the Harry Chapin one has a lot of, it feels a little more like regret, and the Ugly Kid Joe one feels a little more like anger.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree. Yeah. And that's, again, just our guess on it. But let us know what you think of the lyrics of it by all means. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of the picks that I had for rock covers. Again, I know there's a million of them. And like, as I was talking through these, I kept thinking of other ones that I didn't even put on this list. But if you would, please drop a comment because that matters more to us than anything. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Hit the notification bell because we have 3 videos every week. So the algorithm doesn't serve that up to you. If you hit the notification bell, then you'll know. That is Lauren. My name is Russ. Thank you so much for watching.